The Savannah S is an Italian design, a high-wing two-seater sold either as a kit or in ready-to-fly form. It's a stall aircraft, meaning it's been optimized for short and unimproved runways. The Savannah S is built by the Italian manufacturer ICP in the town of Castelnuovo Don Bosco in the Piedmont region. Originally, ICP produced only automotive components, and in the late 1980s began importing kits for the Aero Engina MXP 740 from Colombia and assembling them in Italy. From the 90s on, the company began investing heavily in the business of light aircraft. Maybe at first sponsored by their own automotive parts business, ICP set out to improve the original design, going through a few different versions until, in 2010, the Savannah S was released, encompassing all that was learned in the decades-long development process. Today, the Savannah S is a worldwide bestseller, but ICP didn't stop there. From February 2024 on, the Savannah S will be replaced by the Savannah SR that includes a few more evolutionary changes. The SR is not the subject of this report. The airplane tested for this video was assembled in Brazil in 2014. It has a 29.5 feet wingspan and it's 21.6 feet long. The Savannah S is equipped with a 912S 100 horsepower Rotax engine. The prop installed on the airplane tested is a 3-blade carbon fiber ground adjustable unit built by Speedwork in Caxias do Sul, Brazil. The oil level is checked through this inspection door on the cowling. There's a fuel tank in each wing, each carrying 9.5 gallons of gas, and a 1.6 gallon header tank located behind the seats. There's an optional long-range configuration in which 2 more 9.5 gallon tanks can be installed, bringing the total fuel capacity to 39.6 gallons. That's over 8 hours of fuel in this airplane. To drain the tanks, a single valve is located under the belly, which is the lowest part of the fuel system. The Savannah S has VGs on the wings, which help improve low-speed characteristics. The airplane is built of aluminum, and there's a 4130 steel cage forming the cockpit area. The tail cone in the Savannah S has rounded edges, unlike previous generations of the design, which had purely functional angular edges. This is one of the aesthetic changes adopted in the S model. It certainly looks more elegant. It's a very Italian thing to ensure that this pragmatic design has some style to it. Well, let's get inside. A welcome improvement to the design adopted by the Savannah S is the roomier interior. Shoulders barely touch, even with 2 adults on board. The instrument panel was relocated further up, resulting in more usable space for the occupants. The Savannah has a center Y-shaped stick and 2 power levers, one on each side. That configuration also contributes to the feeling of roominess in the cockpit and makes entry and exit easier and less cumbersome. You fly it with your right hand when seated on the left. Visibility is quite good. The doors and the roof of the airplane are transparent, and no rubber necking is necessary to look outside under the wing, even with the thicker, sporty seats installed on this airplane. The unit tested is equipped with VFR instruments, and there's also a Dyno D3 pocket panel installed. The Savannah S has Junker-type flaperons. Flaps and ailerons are hinged below the trailing edge of the wing, and there's a gap between the wing and the flaps. The movable surfaces work together, providing roll control and acting as hyperlift devices. These trailing edge devices are controlled through this lever. There are 2 positions other than up. Pitch trim is obtained electrically through this switch located close to the power lever. A fuel shut-off valve is located on the floor, in front of the left seat. The airplane we flew also has one shut-off on each line, allowing either tank to be used separately or both together. The baggage area is not big and is located behind the seats. The doors have an extra lock, which helps shutting them tight during flight. Okay then, clear prop! The nose gear is directly linked to the pedals and the airplane has toe brakes. The air temperature was 95 Fahrenheit on the day we flew, with a QNH of 2988 and calm winds. Departing from a grass runway situated at an elevation of 2,500 feet, with 2 adults on board and 13 gallons of fuel in the tanks, we needed 400 feet for takeoff. Later we tried a high-performance takeoff, using flaps and with only one on board. The plane was briskly off the ground in 160 feet. For climb, we used a bit less than full power and saw at least 500 feet per minute, while maintaining 60 miles per hour indicated. The 100 horsepower engine delivers a lot of power to the Savannah S. We feel that 80 horsepower would be more than enough for a takeoff and climb performance greater than what's expected in this category of aircraft. Leveled at 4,000 feet, we set 5,200 RPMs and saw an indicator of 100 miles per hour, which we calculated to be 95 knots true airspeed. Not bad, especially considering that the airplane tested had no aerodynamic trimming installed. Wheel spats and drag-reducing covers in a few strategic places would certainly result in a few knots extra cruise speed. Structurally, the Savannah S is quite sturdy. The airplane is approved for +6 and -3 Gs, and real-world experience operating in inhospitable regions like the Australian outback or the African bush have shown that the little airplane is a brute, bravely tolerating hard use. In terms of flying qualities, the decades of design development are even more evident. The airplane is stable in pitch, even when flying at very low speeds. Maintaining less than 40 miles per hour with 2 big guys on board and no flaps is a piece of cake. And it basically doesn't do 1 G stalls, even indicating, well, 0 miles per hour. In terms of directional stability, the Savannah S flies as if it were on rails. In turns, very little, if any, rudder input is needed, which is uncommon in a machine designed for bush flying. In roll, the little airplane makes you smile. Stick movement produces immediate responses, and the roll rate is a joy. suddenly the little farm truck turns into a sports car and invites you to play around in the sky. For our first landing, we used one notch of flaps, but we didn't need to. This airplane doesn't need flaps. Flying at 60 miles per hour, there's a vast safety margin above the stall, and because it's so light, ground roll is short. The Savannah S turns any runway into a good runway. It's an ideal machine for beginners because it's as docile as an aircraft can be, while offering excellent takeoff, climb and landing performance, therefore increasing safety margin during these critical phases of flight. But at the same time, it's very attractive for more experienced pilots, for it offers low acquisition and maintenance costs, cabin space that is good enough for bigger people, cruise performance that rivals those of more expensive machines, and flying qualities that owe nothing to any airplane of any size. The Savannah S is one of the most well-rounded designs we know of. It's an unassuming little airplane that delivers more than it promises. And I want one.